Well, good evening and welcome to the Open Mic Hour on this lovely Thursday evening. Hope everyone's fine, hope everybody's well. And we're nearly there, aren't we? I'm going to say it. Hopefully I had a lockdown on Monday. So again, thanks for coming along. And what a show tonight. Not one, not two, but three amazing people that's coming on to join their experiences on the show tonight. So I'm going to introduce them all. I've got Richard Clements, I've got Greene, and I've got Paul Rook. So I'm just going to bring them in now one by one. So fingers crossed, we've got a multi-show this evening. Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
Hello.
What a lineup. Thank you for joining me tonight.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
I certainly know we have caught up before as well, Kerry, and that, and you know what you've been up to, how's things. One by one, feel free to have a chat and introduce yourselves.
Okay, well, I'm Greene. Obviously, I'm the lady in the group. I run a Spirit and Soul Island, which is crystals and mineral business, but I'm also part of this amazing trio on the Paranormal Concept show. We do a regular podcast, and so Paranormal Podcast on the Paranormal UK Radio Network, which is one of the largest paranormal podcast networks going. And I do it with these two likely lads here.
That's right, yeah. And I'm Richard Clements, and as Kerry said, I'm one of the three. We like to try and keep Kerry in check when she goes off on one, but you know what women are like. I mean, they can be a bit,
Hashtag
no, we do have and we sort of do a show once a week, a 2-hour show. So it's all good.
2 hours certainly takes time. Come on, Paul, not last but not least.
That's it. Hiya, how are you?
I'm brilliant.
I'm Paul, and I'm the brains behind it all, obviously.
Oh dear, yeah.
No, we do the show, but we all take charge of our own parts of it, if you know what I mean. It comes together really well. All three of us working together, we bounce off each other quite well, and we bring different elements to the show. And, it works really well. It has done for years.
I definitely say, amongst you all, and you're so laid back, Paul. I mean, I think you'd fall over, wouldn't you? Just like that. You seem so laid back when you said, you're the police guy, just, So I still think there'll be the back of the hand there when you get in striking distance off our lovely Kerry. I think she'll be putting you in check as well. Does she keep you in check?
No, I keep her in check. What you mean, Richard? She keeps going off on different tangents, and right out there she is, obviously, all the time. Then we have to drag her back to the conversation.
Oh dearie me.
It's the other way round, I think you'll find.
Yes.
I've certainly come across all your amazing work and all this, that, and the other over the years and all that. And it's been a pleasure to see what you're up to and where you're at this present moment in time. Are you all looking forward to moving forwards now, especially, I would safely say, from the likes of next week? You're all looking forwards to spring forwards and move forwards and get out there again with everything?
I think I'm more looking forward to the extra hour in bed. But,
Okay. It'll be good to be able to get out and about again. To be fair, it's something we have lacked. I mean, we used to do like a road trip, or Richard mainly would drag us out on road trips on a regular basis, and we're more, that would be daytime road trips. But Paul covers paranormal, like the location, paranormal investigation kind of thing. So, and we've got quite a lot lined up in the next few months, which hopefully won't be too impacted by COVID. And a lot of that is just the team going out, Paul's little team that he's gathered, and we're part of that team. So it's going to be really good to get back out and about again, rather than just talking about it, like living the experience again, which I think we've all missed. I think that's something we have all missed. But we've not long done RAF Nettie's Head. We did that a couple of weekends ago. as a team share. And I have to say, I will give credit where credit's due. Paul and Lucy, his partner, organised that, and they did it really well. And it was a great location to team share and keep the COVID restrictions in place. So he did a great job of that, and it was really interesting. Shows you how rusty you get though when you're out in the field. You know how rusty you got after lockdown of like 18 months of not investigating, and then you get out there. And we were trying to do an EVP, and we turned on the machine thing, the voice recorder even, and tech term everybody, and I just went, "Is anybody there?" Oh my God, that's so rookie. It's untrue.
What I would say, if you say as well, the sales in batteries must have gone up now, everybody getting ready and keen. And I think I went out and bought a load in January, and I was like, all right, that was a bit too, I've got so many batteries in January, and I was just eager to go. And I just thought, all this equipment must have to be replaced with all these batteries. And, again, so it's just, it's ongoing, isn't it, as well? So replacing stuff and making sure any equipment, doesn't get the dodgy batteries all corroding away as well. So a lot of people do forget about that as well. So check all your equipment out there, folks. Good evening for everyone that's joining us live. If you want to ask questions, feel free. You're more than welcome. And again, Richard, do you know what? Do you class yourself as a skeptic?
Not a heavy skeptic. I don't like the term skeptical believer either, because I think that's a bit of a cop-out. But I tend to approach everything with a sort of like an open mind, as opposed to like a closed mind. I'm a sort of person that I suppose does to like to live outside the box, sort of thinking. But I find the more I'm doing this, so particularly with the spiritual side, I'm actually sort of working with Kerry, who does more of that. I am starting to I've taken up dowsing and sort of stuff like that. So I am sort of dabbling in that sort of area. So I wouldn't class myself as an out-and-out skeptic. I do believe there is something going on here. What it is, I can't tell you. I'm not that much up front. I mean, people say, oh, yes, it's a ghost of the dead we're talking to. I mean, I can't say that. I mean, and I think anyone really would look back and sort of say that, and that is rather an assumption to make, because it's never been proven.
I mean, in a lovely way as well. I've done some bullet points tonight, and I thought, how can I size up Richard in one little bullet point? And I put astute person with a lot of knowledge and wisdom.
Oh, of course, there's me all over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little bit bonkers in there as well. You've got to put a little bit of bonkers in there.
A little bit bonkers, but well, thank you, Gary.
That's all right. Anytime, guys.
Okay, and I mean, I've got like 3 little pages and little bullet points and stuff like that, because it's always nice to touch back on things. And one thing I made a note of somewhere, and I think that was in and around yourself, Paula. Are you like a big Doctor Who fan? Are you into all time travel? What's your conception on that?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Most of my I mean, when it comes to time travel and stuff, I do get ideas from programs like Doctor Who and Star Trek, because it is timeline based, and it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, even Back to the Future, I'm a big sci-fi fan, absolutely. But it does help you think outside the box.
I remember watching Star Trek, whatever year, and they had the little silver things in the hand, and even from then, I think that just give everyone that scope to go, yeah, we can see that happening, we can see that working in the future. And be it like 30 or 40 years later, everyone's got this device, and we're all using it, and we need the time warp thing now, don't we, to beam us all off to wherever
absolutely.
we need.
I mean, that obviously when the show came out in the 60s or whatever it was, we didn't have sliding doors that opened when you approached them, but yet in the program they did. even though it was two blokes standing behind the doors going shh, shh. You know, but
you've ruined
there's
it
a lot
now.
of things in programs that
You spoil the moment.
Time and
Spoil the
relative.
moment. Talking about the sliding doors scenario, I don't know if you've ever seen the film Sliding Doors, and I am a massive believer in fate and path and your journey. Yeah. I'll ask that to each person. How would you feel it? Could you describe your fate and path? Did you have a bit of an inkling, each of you, where you was running with, say, 5 or 10 years ago to where you are today? What do you think your paths are at the moment?
I think at the moment it's I was doing 5 years ago. I was doing like a paranormal events team and working with that. And as time's gone on, I've sort of left that behind and moved on to only doing private work. I'd rather work by myself and with a small select group of people. Obviously, Richard and Kerry included. And we go out and do investigations, just us, and I like that small circle of trust that I can go out and I tend to do more work now with other paranormal teams that I've worked with before. I'm always quite open and happy to talk to anybody about the paranormal and maybe share ideas and knowledge and stuff like that. And I think that's pretty much where the show was born. We just we've got all this information between the three of us, and we wanted to share it.
Next question, same question to each of you there, Kerry or Richard.
As for me, yes, I came back from the paranormal. I had an interest in the paranormal many years ago, but then sort of life took over. You sort of like you get married and stuff. And I lived in Australia for 9 years as well, so that sort of took up a lot of my time. That's where I brought up my young family, and since actually coming back, things didn't work out, so we came back here in the UK, and I wasn't really settled at all. And I did have a few sort of demons to battle within myself, which I managed to overcome. And I don't mind admitting this, I did have addiction problems and stuff like that, but I managed to overcome that. And it wasn't until I overcome that till about sort of 6 years ago, I started to put me feelers out back into the paranormal world, because I discovered sort of like the internet, Facebook, and I realised that this was actually talked about a fair bit. So, and I sort of found Kerry and Paul working on a previous radio station many years ago, and sort of like the rest is history from there. We sort of took it from there, really. Yeah. So
my guy's being cheeky. He said it wasn't Radio Caroline. I was like, sorry, my guy.
No.
Halfway through a conversation.
I used to listen. I used to listen to Radio Caroline, good station.
Yeah, most definitely. And question to you as well, Kerry, if you can remember it, or would you like me to recap?
No, I think, talking about everything happens for a reason. I think, over the last 10 years, there's been a huge evolution through various forms and whatnot. And it led me into a conflict when I entered the paranormal field, because I was working very spiritually up until a point, and then I got into the paranormal podcasting side of things because I'd had that interest with the paranormal as well. So I think when you look at defining moments, everything leads you to this point, and now we've streamlined it between the three of us. We know each other all so well, and we've streamlined what we do, and we've cut out a lot of the chatter, which has deflected, I think, sometimes from our own personal journey and has caused distraction. So now I feel like I've come full circle in that. I've got a nice balance there between my spiritual and my paranormal side. It's a good rounded balance now, whereas at one point it was in conflict. My spiritual was in conflict with the paranormal, because you get to hear a lot of the skeptical side and how to debunk things, and the scientific side, and the why do things happen, and all of this. So you get bombarded with that, and it can pull you into a conflict spiritually. But now we've worked together for quite a long time, the three of us, and we've got a very nice balance between the three of us, and we've kind of come full circle. So even Paul, who can be quite, no disrespect, Paul, quite hard-headed sometimes, has even taken challenges on to go. I go, look, I can only explain so far in regards to the spiritual. You need to try it. And him's the same back, you know, Kel, you can't be all woo-woo. Think about it in this way. And Richard, he started to get his head out of history books and stuff and start dowsing. And, you know, so all of us have brought something different to the table, and it's become a more rounded, streamlined kind of affair. So that's kind of where we are now. Where we're going forward, who knows? We shall have to wait and see.
Okay. Let's have a little prediction from each of you. What do you think lies ahead in the future? Would you say? Do you foresee?
Oh, marriage and babies. No, I'm joking.
Have I got to buy a top hat?
No, I'm joking. Who knows? We've got a lot of ideas rattling around.
We have.
Lots of ideas.
Yeah, I'm not a huge believer in fate or anything. So, yeah, I'm like Kerry. I don't particularly know what's going to sort of like come along in the future. I mean, you look about 18 months ago, this blindsided us. I think it blindsided us all. So you can't, you know. So, you know, the predictions on that were quite way off. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, as Kerry and Richard have said already, we don't know where it's going to head. We've got some really good ideas, and we're going to try and bring them to fruition. But one thing's for sure: there's going to be more books and more shows out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
A couple of questions here, tying in realistically. I mean, we've mentioned books. Would you like to throw some that you're really intrigued by, or that you're going to write, or what would you recommend for people to have a little look at?
I recommend the book that Kerry's holding up. It's the Paranormal Concept Extra. There you go. Paranormal Concept Extra, written by all three of us. It's just blogs and thoughts and things like that we've all three of us come up with, all about different topics, whether it's history, paranormal related, spiritual. There's just so much in that book. Definitely one to buy. And if you want to sort of like know quite, you know, what makes us tick, that'd probably be the best place to go to.
I think it's really good at demonstrating actually that we're not in a box. Do you know what I mean? We cover so many different areas of the paranormal and research so many different rabbit holes and go down so many different thought patterns. And it is about the concepts, not just going out on investigations. It's the concepts and the history and the folklore and the mythology and all of that kind of thing that goes on amongst this umbrella term of the paranormal. And between the three of us, we bounce, like Paul said, we bounce off each other very, very well. And some of the things that we researched that have come off the back of something that maybe happened on a paranormal investigation, or we talked about in regards to mythology or something like that. All of those, it's such a mixed bag. It's not like a typical ghost hunter book of like, I did this investigation and this happened and blah, blah, blah. And this is the history of the place. It is an eclectic mix of so many different topics and ideas and concepts out there. And it's one that will definitely get your brain ticking, if nothing else. And it even details some of our little adventures that we've been on. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I found that's an amazing word that you've used, eclectic. And I think that gets everyone on the hook, doesn't it, for anything around the paranormal and what we sense, what we feel, what we hear, your experiences from one room to the next as well. Where would you say has been good around your neck of the woods to investigate? Where's outstanding that you've enjoyed locations in and around yourselves?
Okay, well, for me, you can't investigate. What's really annoying is they took it off the paranormal investigation market, and it's so frustrating because Coal House Fort is just down the road from me, and we investigated that, and it was absolutely brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed that. It was off the scale. And we had things happen that even now I can't understand. I would like to go back and do further investigation, but I can't because they took it off the market. So it's in the hands of the council. So my lovely Paul is doing his best to try to bring that back to us all, but we'll see on that one.
Do you know with the council as well that they will hire places out for the money at the moment, so they usually don't have a cap on it for too long. So if it's a council-owned place, they are usually put it to somebody else in the committee-wise that it gets talked about. I know it's an anchor point for that location, but they're after bringing in all types of money left, right and centre, the council. So my recommendation would be approach the councils of what buildings and what places they've got that they can look at teams that are hiding out as well. So people out there, test yourselves, push yourselves. I always say push yourselves. Right, back onto that one. Sorry, that just come to me that. So it does that now and again. So where have you enjoyed, Paul, Richard?
I've been to quite a lot of locations, and at the moment I'm in Warwickshire, and there's a place not too far away from me, probably about an hour and a half, Shrewsbury Prison. That's one of my favourite locations. They're
on the 4th of September.
Yeah, excellent. I had my own personal experience there. I walked up some stairs, and when I got to the stop, I heard someone walking up the stairs behind me. And when they got to the top, they stamped their foot down, and I turned around expecting to see the caretaker, and there was no one there. That was spooky.
All right. Yeah, with me, I haven't actually sort of been sort of around many places, sort of like close, but the one that I've been to the most is Kelvedon Hatch, and it seems to be a place now that I seem to find myself now on a sort of a regular basis. So it's actually quite interesting to see how that location develops as, you know, I sort of come and go from Kelvedon Hatch. So that's my location.
Richard, David has put up there, he can't wait for Shrewsbury Prison. It's an amazing place. I've been there a few times, and when I pull up there, basically on the outskirts of the car park, I'm always drawn to the castle on the mound on the hill behind me straight away. So I'm like, I just start turning around, and I love Shrewsbury Prison, but I just feel the overlapping energies as well. If you come across a location where it seems to come alive as soon as you get there with, I've got to go here as well, I've got to do this, I'm getting pulled here, I'm getting pulled there as well.
I have. There was one, I think it was in Telford. It was called The Block. And it was like a block that the airsoft people used a lot. Yeah. And it was used for all sorts of things over the history. I think there was World War II. It was used as a bunker house before they sent troops to the front lines, and then they used it as a hospital as well for some of it. And the second we stepped in there just to set up, we had activity kicking off left, right, and centre. It was really interesting, that place, and it's a shame. Yeah,
I've done the block a few times. I knew the owner, I can't remember his name now at the moment, but he was always welcoming us back there, and it was nice to experience as well. And shame it's off the market now at the moment. I think it's been redeveloped, all that area as well.
Yeah, it is a shame it's gone, but personally I don't want to live there.
Yeah, and Katie from Lincoln, from the team there, she's saying that obviously she can't wait for Shrewsbury Prison because it's one of the team members' birthdays as well. So I'm going to have some fun and games on that night as well. Let me see. I seen now an amazing question came to me, basically, that I was like, do you know what? This has blown my mind away. And I thought at some point this would have affected us all, depending on who you liked and whatever. What do you think, to each of you, is the biggest celebrity person who's ever passed? has it had an impact on you? If if it's someone that you've really liked, or it's took you back with the sadness of them going, or was you a big fan of a specific celebrity? I'll put you on the spot with that one. And I just thought it was a good question, basically, because we've all had moments in time in our lives where the unexpected comes about, and it's like a certain, like Freddie Mercury passed, and it's just like, wow, has that just gone on? And John Lennon's passed, and you're like, I feel time freezes in them moments when you hear that sad news in and around that. Have you had any specific famous person or celebrities or somebody who's really, really into a band member or anything like that? Have you had, how could you give your experiences on that type of scenario for that question?
I think the only one that's really shocked me that they passed, well, there's two of them, that would be Robin Williams and George Michael. That was a shocker one, that was. But, yeah.
And again, in relation with that as well, Paul, I always feel that you remember where you was and where you heard it and who you was with as well. So that moment in time seems to stand out. And I think it's the bullet point of it standing out of when you hear that as well, because it's that, it sticks in your memory, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And we've obviously with the George Michael one, because it was Christmas Day, we'd had fun with the family and everything. And I actually got home and I actually scrolled along on Facebook and it came up that he'd passed. None of my family knew what had happened until I was like, oh my God. There you go. And even they were shocked, because my mum and that are like big music fans. And because of the circumstances of which he passed, my mum was like, oh, if he was that lonely, he could have come to ours for dinner.
Oh, bless her.
Oh, bless. Yeah. I think with me, David Bowie, he was a big sort of icon of mine, sort of like growing up. And I sort of felt that once he sort of passed, because I always thought he was going to be there. He was sort of one person out of all sort of like music's greats that he kept reinventing himself. He kept, he was always ahead of his game. And when I found out he actually passed, which I wasn't even aware that he was actually ill, and I think they kept all that quiet. And it wasn't until then I thought, where do I go now? And it was then really I sort of like looked at myself and thought, right, he's not there now for you to sort of like look back, and now it's up to you to sort of pull your act together and move on. So that's what I took from that, really. It was still sad, but yeah.
Over to you, Kelly.
I think, oh, well, I've got to say Princess Diana, really, but that's not really from a personal perspective. I mean, it's somebody you'd looked at in the media and admired and seen the car crash of her life, basically, that had gone on through the royal family situation. But then her passing was so sudden. But I think for me, it was that watching the world, watching the country grieve in the way they did for her, and that hadn't for anybody else, in my knowledge, in the way that they did. And then watching the funeral, I actually had a job interview on the day of the funeral. And I remember rushing through this job interview. The poor bloke didn't know what hit him. I was like, right, I'm the girl for the job. I'm going to go because it's Diana's funeral. And I was sort of like, went round a friend's house. We were just sobbing. And it's like, I was going, why are we actually crying? It was just so moving, the whole thing. And I think everybody got caught up in this mass grief at that time. And for me, that's incredibly interesting, watching that play out and actually being a part of that. So although I wouldn't say I was a huge fan of hers per se, I wasn't like, super fan or anything like that. She's somebody I'd admired, I'd watched, and it was very tragic how she died. So I would say, from a lot of different reasons, from my perspective, that was sort of one that probably was a defining moment.
I'm glad we went to the funeral. I was there.
I watched it.
I can safely say from my own perspective was as a youngster, I woke up and I remember my mum saying to me, "Oh, I guess who's dead?" And this was like obviously John Lennon, and I was like, I think I sat up and I don't think I could move. I was just in a daze for so long, It's not around the sadness or nothing. I think that was just like, no, he's only 40, do you know what I mean? It's like so much more to give as well. This is why I feel leading towards me into the next thing there is with, as we've just described, or like picking up on the empathy around your feelings and all that and emotions. This is a lot around when we go to these investigations. I feel that the energies that reside there come flooding back in and start hitting you with that. Have you ever been on an investigation where somebody that could be an empath and start crying straight away and you're like, oh, it's okay, I know why you're crying, and you pick up on it quite a way? Have you ever seen anyone really hit with their emotions or anything extra different on an investigation where you're like, yeah, this is this place doing this? Have you come across that scenario?
I have, and it was on a private investigation. Personally, I just thought she was mad. She was sitting in a chair and she said, like, I'm feeling very angry, and I just want to get up and smack someone in the face. And I was like, well, get up off the chair and let me sit there. And I felt nothing. And it's like, mad, mad woman.
But also as well with that, Paul, is like, if you could have had a totally different day where you're not relaxed and in the zone, you might have had more going on in the day or a rush to get to the investigation, and you can have all them type of scenarios in and around that as well, can't you? With what's gone on in the day as well.
Oh, absolutely, especially if you are on like an event investigation sort of thing. But it doesn't tend to happen that much if you're on a private house investigation. But yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? You just got to block out what's gone on in a day and just go with what you feel, I suppose. But as I'm not sensitive or anything like that, if someone's in that state because they're standing in a certain position or whatever, and the energy comes into them sort of thing, I'd like them to move and let me stand there, see if it happens to me, but it never does.
I've never seen anyone actually come out in floods of emotions. I've never been present when people have like burst into tears or had to be sort of no, hang on, I'll tell a lie. I have. Yes, but most of my sort of like experiences are like secondhand. I mean, and people around me, like sort of mediums and people on Ouija boards and stuff, and they will tell me what they're feeling. They're feeling sad and stuff. I haven't really been around anyone that's really sort of broke down or anything.
I think it's one of those, isn't it? I think sometimes you can't help it, because if you are walking into an energy where it's been a particularly tragic or particularly, angry at the situation or something like that, you feel it. But then experience, as a spiritual person, experience teaches you how to control that and how to temper that. So to be fair, I've only ever worked with pretty experienced people. I've been lucky enough to surround myself with those, and I kind of know what I'm doing myself. So, I haven't done a lot of public investigation with the public. So for me, I've seen the effects, but they've been a controlled effect because the person has known what to do with that.
Again, it's when you walk in a place, sometimes I get not premonition. I get the feeling that someone's waiting there for me, and I usually find out as well, it's usually the older generation coming through with their stories, because they usually say, I've been waiting around the longest. I know it sounds, there's no time over there, but especially with, like, if I'm with a person and it could be a family member that's on an invest with me as well, I get the kitchen sink of family members coming through, as well as people in and around the location and its history and things of the past. And sometimes you've got to break that divide down as well. And sometimes a person could be on a public event and then they're after their information as well. Do you know what I mean? And I do enjoy the public events and I do enjoy the private events, but I can safely say the energies around the private events, everyone's like raring to go. It's like I feel like it's like a Formula One event. It's like everyone is like set up, ready to go, and they're eager to go. And it's like, right, okay, that's your safety talk, and off you go as well. So again, it's just that rushing to get into it as well. And I feel like everyone's in that position at the minute. I feel like everyone's fine-tuning everything, and everyone's just like raring to go. You know, I seen some old cases today and I thought, I can't throw them out. I've got to keep hold of them. They'd be good for somebody's team or to use for paranormal equipment as well. So I keep thinking ahead when I'm seeing stuff, and I'm like, it's always around the paranormal, or we'll take this on and invest, or we'll try these different objects and trigger objects and stuff like that as well. What do you find works around yourself the best? You know, like what you enjoy working with?
Well, for me, crystals.
Never.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked closely in many different ways, but when I work a location, I'm not a medium, so I don't pick up what you pick up, Gary. I'm not getting people coming forward, but I'm getting energy levels, and I'm feeling the energy levels, and a lot of that comes through my hands. So like I'll walk around like with my hands out with a big crystal in it and going, oh my God, it's throbbing now and stuff like that. It's a bit weird, but helping to place crystals in the right places to help those spirits that you're talking about bridge the gap for people like yourself or other people on the team, or, you know, aid that communication is just absolutely fantastic. You know, that's how I work in the field. So for me, it's crystals. That's the kit I take, is crystals.
So I like to just go out on my own. No equipment with me, just have a personal experience. If anything's going to happen in that location, I want it to happen to me. So I'm quite happy sitting there and having my own experiences. I tend to get a lot of stuff happen that I can't explain, but after it happens, I sort of look for the logical explanations for it all. There's only one or two things that have happened that I can't explain. But that's sort of what I do when I go out on investigations, especially like the public events, because it's really hard to be able to investigate properly. So I just tend to do that and have my own personal experiences, but I can do premonitions. Not very psychic, but I've had a few premonitions at the time.
Mm-hmm. And that comes from
with me.
Go on, Richard.
With me, I'm a bit like Paul. I sort of like to feel the presence, sort of try and tune into room. But as was touched upon earlier, I quite like my dowsing. So you'll often see me going around a venue with either I dowse rod or pendulum, and I'm still sort of learning. I still sort of like how can I use this, you know, and I've got some good results through it, and and I'm still developing as a dowser. So that's sort of me.
With that, Richard, as well, with your dowsers and all that, do you find like sort of when you go to get them out the box that excuse me, on a location or a building or something, or the land, that you're sensing water as well in and around these places? Because a lot of abbeys were set up around water, weren't they? And do you automatically wells and stuff like that in and around quite local to where?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. It's funny you should say that, Gary. I went to I've forgotten. It's a very famous location. Castle Rising, thanks, Paul. I went there, and I got water hits here, there, and everywhere. There's one particular strong source, you know, that I was picking up on, and when I went into the castle, come outside, and you can see all the wells on the property were in that line. So there certainly is a very strong dowsing water source at Castle Rising, which I believe may explain a lot of, and it's running. I know that it's actually a running watercourse. So that's what I think with the activity at Castle Rising, that is a very strong candidate for it.
I've got
God,
lovely...
it sounds like we all only work in spiritual ways in the field, guys, doesn't it? There's Paul's out there on his own, you're dowsing, there's me walking around with crystals. We use the tech as well, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Richard, what team members asking, what's your thoughts on the scientific side of the paranormal?
I like it. I've got nothing against the scientific side. I sort of will read sort of posts, and I have Google alerts on my laptop, and I've got a few trigger words which will bring up, and every morning my inbox is full of sort of paranormal articles, and the one that and the one that's usually the fullest is the one that's under the search word paranormal science. So you would often get me reading a scientific. I mean, I like it, because if I sort of see something sort of vaguely interesting, I like sort of seeing stuff that makes me go, just that, nothing else. If it can make me do that.
I've actually turned an app on now just to see if any words come in and around, and I'll throw it out to you if any words come on here in the next 10 minutes. Little thoughts on for you, Kerry. Basically, what's your thoughts on and your takes on like some mirrors and that? Have you ever seen anybody scrying that's been really an amazing transfiguration in and around mirrors?
No, I've had someone appear behind me when I've been doing mirror scrying, like literally stood behind me, and I've had a conversation, like that kind of, like, who are you?
Hello.
Like, oh my God, there's someone right behind me, and then you do that, like, is there someone actually behind me? And there's not, and then you're looking in the mirror, and they're stood behind you. Yeah, that is actually fascinating. I've seen an experiment done where someone was sat in the middle of two mirrors facing each other, so it kind of ends up being like an infinity mirror kind of scenario, and that was incredibly weird because while they were doing that experiment, other team members around the room had tech going on, and they were getting all sorts of things coming through on the tech and various EVPs and stuff like that, and all from one person sat between two full length mirrors. And that this was in a paranormal investigation. That was incredible because you've got things, it was hitting off all over the place, and it was like, is that person right? So although they weren't transfiguring, something was going on there. And it's another experiment. It's another experiment to carry on trying and seeing what happens. They're fascinating things, considering they're just a reflection, of self effectively. And you see what your mental mindset is in a mirror. So like if you're having an ugly day, you're not actually any different from any other day. It's your mental mindset that's actually, do you know what I mean? Machine.
Machine.
But they are fascinating things. So it's definitely worth that experimentation with, but do it within a safe group. I would say that this kind of experimentation work would need to be done between a really tight-knit group rather than a public investigation. It's not something I would play around with publicly. It's something I would do within your own personal team. Personally, is what I do. And I've seen things like the Devil's Box, they call it, where it's got all like mirrors, and then you put like an EVP machine and with water in the middle and stuff like that. So I've seen all those kind of experiments. Fascinating results come from those. So again, draw your own conclusions. Is it real? Are you just getting what you think you want to get? I don't know, but it's interesting. Makes you think.
Most definitely as well. And I'm a big believer in, with the way I work, I always say seeing is believing. I think I put a post up the other day and somebody said, what's that of? And I said, oh, that was a spirit coming forward the other week when we was out on an investigation. And it's like somebody else has taken that picture, and that's what I enjoy. It's somebody else getting that experience. And and you're describing something that's going on in that room and the atmosphere changing. And it's just, to me, it's just mind-blowing the way the intelligence of spirits work as well. And one place I went to the other week, and a couple of 3 days later, I had a spirit energy there, and he was virtually over my shoulder, as he said, and I was going about doing my everyday thing, and I'm like, I know you're here still. You're giving me a tough time. And again, this spirit energy seemed to roll on and wanted to carry on and carry on and carry on and get more out of you and perceive more of their character to affect your daily routine as well. Have you ever had any attachments where you feel like gloomy or glum after a certain investigation, where you feel it's been quite weighted, and sometimes it's not easy to shake off just in a day, a week or two as well? Sometimes, you know, they can roll on, can't it? Have you ever had any of your team members had an experience of that?
I've had that.
I would say one of my team members had a spirit go home with them, and she's not a practicing medium, but every now and again she'll pick up on something. And she said, because she lives in a caravan, and she told me that she's got a big wooden table in the middle of a caravan, and it appeared that someone was punching it from below, and the table was jumping up and down on its own. It happened a few times, and she opened up to this spirit, because she's a believer in spirit anyway. So she was like, opened up, and she got the name Des from the spirit. So I actually looked up the name from the location that we actually went to, and I believe it was Shrewsbury Prison. And the name Des, there was actually a guy hung at the prison, and that was his name. And I'd done a bit of research on him, and apparently there's a book written all about him. So she went out and done a little bit of research on him and sent him back to the prison.
Very, very strong characters as well, aren't they? You know, and they can be persistent as well, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think because she's got this gift, or whatever you want to call it, you know, and it was like, oh, she can talk to me. Let's go and bother her for a few days. Well, I mean, I've got a spirit that follows me about, but it's not. It doesn't do anything, but it's just that every time I go on the Ouija board, it just comes through, and it's like, will you go away?
Are you here again? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But it seems to have a connection with me, and I think it's because I'm from London, and that's pretty much the only connection we've got. It's not family or anything like that, and yeah, it just follows me everywhere I go. I think it's more a protection thing, and he don't want any other spirit getting near me. And that's sort of the impression that I get. It can be irritating. And
again, certain spirits can keep other spirits away as well, and they're like, hang on, he's mine. I'm talking to him, I'm working with him as well. So again, any weighted things that you've experienced as well?
That's pretty much what we're getting at the moment. So I'm going to have to try and, with various people's help, try and find out what actually he wants. If he's got a message, if not, then he's got to go home at some point. He can't stay with me forever.
Anything that you've experienced on that with the weighted Richard or Kerry as well?
No, not really. No, I've never noticed anything when I've come back from a location, sort of around the house. Not really. I mean, I lose stuff. You know, with my mobile phone's the latest one to go walk about, but I don't put that down to any sort of thing paranormal. It's just me being absent-minded.
Also, as well, Kerry, have you got a book? Have you done a book on crystals? Are you looking at doing one?
It's in progress.
Sorry, just telling me.
It's in progress. Stop it. Every time. No, it's in progress, Spirit. For God's sakes. God, stop nagging. Yes, it is. It's in progress. But my it's been a nightmare, and that needs to stop being a nightmare. I've got 3 drafts of this book so far, and each time, just as I think, oh, right, okay, I'm going to really crack on with it, the thing goes wrong, and then I'm having to download all my hard drive and then read. Oh, it's been a nightmare. But yes, it's in progress, everybody. That's all I can say on that one. Yeah, watch this space.
Also, as well, Paul, I see that you've done the parapsychology as well. Would you recommend people that are interested in looking at doing that type of course or study? Would you recommend that?
With the online paranormal courses, including the parapsychology, it's just a bit of paper. It doesn't really mean that you're a paranormal psychologist or anything like that. It's just a bit of paper, fancy bit you can put on your wall, because you can't accredit something to the unknown. But as for actually doing parapsychology course, I found it quite interesting because there was things that I learned about some of the basics of parapsychology that I didn't know. Like, for example, who was the first one to coin the phrase? And again, I've done it a long time ago. Can't remember now, but I'll have to look up my notes. But yeah, no, I have actually written a parapsychology course myself, and I did start selling it quite a few years back now. And I think what I might do is just alter it slightly and release it as a book.
Right. Okay.
So rather than doing a course, people can actually buy the book, and there'll be like case studies in there that you could get into, like the Bell Witch case and various other cases that I've got.
Do you find as well certain times of the year that gets heightened with the that type of energy that's coming in and around and seems to be harassing a lot of the investigation, the parapsychologist side of it, where it's a weighted energy and it's like really chinking away and it affects people that's working with you as well? Do you find there's certain times of year that I always find the veil's very thick in January and February, and when I was training to be a Reiki master, they always said have a rest January, February, because the veil's the thickest and the spirits need time to rest as well. But I always find there's certain cases come through when it's a thick veil where when you just think it's quiet or you're tired, you have to go and do a lot of house clearances in and around that type of scenario. And it always seems to come at you when you're tired.
No, I tend to get more cases come to me when it's the winter months. So you've got like from October, because obviously Halloween's round down people's throats now. It sort of starts from Halloween and runs till about February, maybe March. It starts dying down, and then obviously we get the spring and the summer. And I think it's because most people are out at that period of time. You know, no one wants to be stuck indoors every night when it's already hot outside. And obviously when it's cold, more people are inside, so they're noticing more and more. That's sort of what I tend to think.
I would safely say as well, where people have been isolated a lot around the current situation, that they've noticed more going on in and around their own environment. I feel even when we go out and about and we get out and about and we're doing what we're doing, I feel that people will get into the environment where they've been in and around their house and the property for a long time. That will be heightened when they go out on an investigation because their sensitivity is tuned in a little bit without them knowing as well. And I've had so many house clearances to do in and around the scenarios where people are spending more time and I'm hearing this knocking, I'm hearing this banging, and I'm sensing this and this is going on as well. So I feel that they will take that scenario out with them when they're going out on their investigations as well, or going on a walk. I feel a lot of people's sensitivity will be heightened because of their sixth sense that they've been around doing not much for a while. But that's my belief, and I think that'll carry on when we go out. And I think a lot of the energy is going to be really heightened when we do get out there as well. And it's like, wow, I just think it's just going to be bursting at the seams, I feel.
Well, we went to RAF Ness's Head a couple of weekends ago, and the activity was quite flat. It wasn't heaving with energy or anything like that. And we was pretty much one of the first teams in after the lockdown, but we didn't get too much, and we was all investigators as well. So if anyone's going to pick up on that sort of stuff, it's going to be us. But no, we didn't really get anything, and I'm actually wondering whether or not even the ghosts are on lockdown, and they're like, what, we can't come out of lockdown yet.
There is an alternative concept to that, though, isn't there? It's that if it could be us that are putting that energy out there. We go out there. We were so excited to go out on that investigation, first of all, that it was like, it was scattered energy, because we were here, there, and everywhere. It was like, we walked into the location, we're out about an investigation, running around the place. It's new, it's different. It's, our techniques are rusty. We hadn't seen each other in the flesh for a long time. You know what I mean? So our energies are scattered. Our own personal, emotional energies are scattered. So you go out, once you get that centered and you get your energy focused much better, and that takes practice, and we're out of practice, quite frankly. Everybody is. I don't care who you are. If you're out of practice, you haven't been out for 18 months doing this, it takes a while to get back into that. So the next investigation, it won't be as intense as that, because we've broken that. We've seen each other in the flesh now. It's like, I've seen you before. Do you know what I mean? So the next time we investigate, it would be very interesting to see, because our energy is focused, whether or not that makes a difference. Because we're not saying it wasn't active. We're saying we want to go back once we've seasoned ourselves again. And it's about seasoning yourself back into that mindset and that focus and that concentration and the emotional energy being focused in the right way. Could it be another concept on the table that we create paranormal activity rather than it being spiritual activity? We're the ones that put it out there. It's a very common thought in regards to poltergeist activity, but maybe that is. And because it's so scattered, it's not being able to be focused into that way. Lots of different concepts on the table regarding that. Lots of different attitudes when you talk to different people. Being on a podcast, we're talking to a lot of different people a lot of times. And, we hear, we went out as a team and it was absolutely off the scale. And then we get another team and we go, no, we're not getting a lot at all. It's not, So there's a lot of evolution to come again. Do you know what I mean in this? And whether or not that spirit's retuning into us or us retuning into them, or whether or not it's more to do with ourselves and how we put forward that energy, it's going to be a fascinating thing to watch.
Most definitely. I'm really well put. Just again, just by you talking there, Kerry, I've just gone, you need to do an experiment here on what you've just said. and it's just like, even I'm not picking your brains or nothing, it's just like I feel there is 1,000,001 experiments that we can do to keep pushing these boundaries and keep pushing ourselves forwards, and having the interaction to say, let's take our thoughts away from things, let's take a step back before we go forwards, even in and around the location as well. And again, I've got good friends that have drove hours and hours and hours, and they've had an A-class EVP within about 25 minutes. They go, right, come on, we're going now. And you're like, what? I said, no, we're not going to top that tonight. And then they just go off and they'll stop somewhere else. And it's just like, really? But that's their drive, because to them, that's what they've gone out for, be it an hour into the investigation or 6 hours into the investigation. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I understand how they work, and they're going, that'll do for us. And they're like, that was worth their trip, travel and journey just to get that A-rated EVP or whatever as well.
This is like how we work. We all bounce off each other and come up with different ideas. We're constantly on Skype and things like that, talking outside the radio show as well. And we come up with the show ideas. And we're all together. Yeah, absolutely. That again, that's why we brought out the blogs as well and the books, because it shows people our thought process and the way we think outside the box on different ideas and stuff like that. And people can get ideas for experiments and push the boundaries. We want to try and push the paranormal field forward.
Yeah,
and it would be good.
That's what the paranormal concept is all about. That's why it's called the paranormal concept. It's not just about accepting one explanation. It's about, okay, let's look at the different explanations. What is out there? Let's get somebody on to do with that, or, you know, who knows about that or has researched that. Let's explore the whole banner of the paranormal concept. And it's a fascinating world beyond the paranormal investigation side. It's so much more than that.
I always say there's no right way or wrong way for mediums to give what the given is, because if someone can't take it, it might be for that place and that location. The next time you're with another group, there's no right or wrong ways. It comes in, it goes out, and then if no one can take it, fine, store it, and then you'll find in 3 weeks' time somebody will bump into somebody and go, "Oh, that makes sense now," and that ties in with they live there or they've visited the same place, and that tying the link and the connection can be so sparse and so wide, but it always relates to something or someone. That's what I always find.
Well, that's what you find in your spectrum, in how you work. But we're exploring lots of different concepts and things. It's just an amazing ball of so many different areas, and it's an umbrella term, the paranormal. And it's you know, you look at one thing and it leads into something else. We call it the rabbit hole. And we delve down that rabbit hole, and we could start in one place and end up somewhere completely different. And that's what makes it so fascinating. And you can take those ideas and you can take those concepts and broaden your investigation into so many different things. It's just a fantastic journey we've all been on with this.
Most definitely. And obviously Alan's just said, like, you know, the heightened sensitivity again is what we've mentioned as well. But again, pushing the boundaries. Ooh, let's see. I know we're coming up to an hour now. I don't want to keep you too long. What have you got up and coming events that you're going to, or where you're going, and what's on the agenda?
Paul, what are we up to, Paul?
Tell him.
Kerry and Richard are going to concentrate on the show for next week and do all the research for me. However, I'm going to be out and about. I'm going to the Parafest convention on Saturday. At the Skegness, is it Village Farm or something that's up there?
Yeah, I've been there. Done that a couple of times.
I'm going to be at the Parafest there on Saturday. I've got all the books that I've got, the Paranormal Concept Extra. I've also just released 2 books myself. A basic guide to paranormal investigation and understanding the Ouija board. So I've got those copies of books there. So I'm selling those. And if people ask nicely, I might autograph them for them. I don't know why anyone will want my autograph, but hey.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah, that's it. So that's what I've got going on Saturday. I'm going to do a few lives on our Facebook page. So, yeah, people can go over to that. And
you'll enjoy the cottage there, and you'll enjoy the little school room there as well.
Yeah, I've got tickets for the investigation as well afterwards, so I'm really looking forward to that.
But feel free to put all these links and connections onto me, even if you inbox them, and I'll add them on to the bottom end of this for everyone to.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I'll do that.
Where you look? Have you got anything different other than that, Kenny or Richard?
I'm going
investigations, haven't we, coming up?
Yeah. As I was saying, we've got Kelvin Hatch. This is next month, and Fifth Corner, haven't we? A new place, a new address. So looking forward to that.
We've got Guildhall.
Oh yes, Guildhall. Forgotten about that.
Yeah, that's another location that's not done much.
How amazing is it when you get a new location to investigate and never been done before investigation? It's just like it is Scooby-Doo days, isn't it? It's just like,
well, that's it. I mean, we've got Kerry knows the owner of the guy that runs Curiosities from the Fifth Corner, and he's
one
got
of my occult friends.
Occult and macabre stuff in his shop, and he's agreed to let myself be the in-house paranormal team, as it were, and do all the bookings and stuff for the location. The only thing is, it is quite expensive, and it's not a very big location. So at the moment, we're the only team that's gone in. So it's sort of brand new on the circuit, so to speak. If anyone wants it, then they can contact me.
Just give it as well. Just inbox it and find out the details. And at the start of the show, I also had this written down at the start of the show. I had Kerry, Paul, and Richard, the Paranormal Concept show, the dream team.
Power of three, baby. Absolutely. It's the power of three.
Power of three. The power of three.
I'll let you go in a second. Just me last question now. And I think Richard sees I do share a lot of photographing and information. I love sharing people's photographs and visits to here, there, and everywhere. I always put them on All Things Paranormal, and I love sharing things that people enjoy and what they've experienced just walking around places or castles or monuments that's attracted them to a little bit of history. Yeah. I don't do it 9 times out of 10. Not very often I'll read the insight that's on it that follows around a location or whatever. What would you say your favorite photograph that you've seen or captured, or somebody that's been on an investigation? What was that of? And I'll leave that as my final question to you each.
Photograph. Well, I take a lot of photographs through all the places I see when I just go out for the day. I'll take photographs. There's been nothing of a paranormal nature or what I believe to be a paranormal nature, but I'm going to take the easy way out. I just like a good photograph of whatever it is. If it's a good photograph, I like it.
And I share it, don't you? I always share a good photograph.
Yeah.
I should ask really first, but I've always been taught
just share.
Once you share stuff on social network, you don't own it, even if it's got your copyrights on it as well, which
that's right.
I have come a cropper with that in the past, and obviously I've had that from higher above. Once you share stuff on social media, you don't own it. Right, Paul and Kerry, anything that you've experienced in and around any photography that you've thought, well, I can't explain it, or that was an amazing capture?
Not photography. I mean, I have seen pictures. My other half, she took a picture at Kelvin and Hatch, and there seems to be a shadow person in the background, which resembles a photograph of her granddad. And they're very much alike in stature, so she believes her granddad was there that night. So she's got that on a photograph. But again, for me, it tends to be more things I've seen with the naked eye that I can't explain.
I need to wrap the show up, Kerry.
What can I say about photographs? They're very subjective to the moment, is what I would say. So I don't put a lot of stock in photographs, in all honesty, but I think it's interesting when you see a photograph of somebody else that's taken, but it's very subjective. They were there, they were in the moment, they experienced it. You're just looking at a blank image, the image of it, and it's hard to discern that. I get quite a lot of people send me photographs. There was a very famous one that was going around, and it was somebody walking through a gallery, and it looked completely different, and they were seeing something completely different to what I was seeing, and I was going, yeah, but it's a blur, it's motion blur, and it's a bloke with a backpack, and he's carrying a child, and they were like, no, it's not, no, it's this weird lady, and I was like, no, that's not what I'm saying. So I find it very difficult looking at photographs and seeing.
It wasn't too far extinguishers, was it?
Not that photograph, good God.
I just had to throw that one in.
Then we all looked at that and saw two fire extinguishers. But a lot of people believed it. What can you say? It's subjective.
That's what it's all about. People being there and experiencing their take on what they think they've captured, or what they think they've seen, or what they feel they've sensed as well. The whole concept of it is fantastic. Right, I'm just going to say a big, massive thank you for a lovely catch up and a lovely chat as well. And if just put the links on anything that you need to share, inbox them in, I'll get them to tie on as well. And the lovely Karen in the background and the moderators that's worked very hard tonight as well. And miss one question's just popped up there. Sorry about that. The best way was taken into the estate and the bedroom, and you can see the lady. again, it's all about people being in and around you that can share that moment, isn't it, of what they've experienced. And I've had live feeds going, and you can see manifestations in the corner and shadows and like configuration of a child or whatever in the room when we've been doing house clearances as well. And it's just amazing when you can see that energy and it's in front of your eyes. And the last one I'm going to leave it on, because I'm cheeky, is with the pictures. How much are the Polaroids? Because a lot of people say they love the old Polaroid camera, but the films are very expensive. Has any of you used any of that? No.
Yeah, we did have an investigator that would do he bought his own Polaroid, and that's the camera that he took a picture of, and the shadow person was in the background. But was it mother, granddad? I don't know. I just know that at Kelvin and Hatch there are mannequins. But at the end of the day, if she wants to believe it was her granddad, I'm not taking that away from her.
Right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much. Please stay in the studio for a minute, sir, and I'll say the goodbyes behind the scene as well. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, folks, we've got Guy's Cliff investigation coming up there, which is scrolling on the bottom of the screen. I think that's the 28th of August. Not very good with the old memory as Mr. Fields, but yeah, Saturday 28th of August. If you've not been there, please experience it. It's well worth it. So I'm going to end the show there. Thank you for everyone for your time. Please stay in the studio, and thanks for tuning in, folks.